Hello, Saturnians. So, my witchy office is a mess right now. And as a Virgo witch that I am, I cannot work or function if my office is looking like that. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to declutter, clean, and get rid of some tarot decks. I'm going to cleanse my crystals, clean my witchy bottles, so that I can feel like myself again, right? I had a guest staying here, they're leaving today. So this is the best day for me to organize, clean, and declutter. Also, I recently won a giveaway, and the stuff that I got is still sitting on my chair. And yeah, I can't wait to put everything back in place. So let's do this together, shall we? So look at that. There are tarot decks everywhere, crystals, candles, everything is a mess. And this is a fair representation of what is going on inside my mind right now. So, in order to organize my mind and declutter my brain, I actually have to declutter and organize my room. This is how Virgo witches function, okay? So I'll start with my bottles. So here I have some ingredients. This is graveyard dirt that I use for some kinds of spells. I'm still using this, so I'm gonna leave it here. I have a snake here. Sometimes I make oil with these snakes, so I always have them around. And I use this for other kinds of spells. So this is still in use, so I'm gonna leave it here. Another snake. I use a lot of these, so I'll leave these ingredients here. What I'm trying to do is I'll remove all the ingredients that I am no longer using, some potions that I have already used and I don't need anymore, maybe some spells and leftovers that are no longer valid. So I'll remove these and I'll keep here only the stuff that I am using. I also have lots of empty jars and bottles because I have already used everything that was inside, but I need to wash them so that I can reuse all the bottles and jars. I always reuse the bottles and jars that I use for my ingredients, spells, and potions. Here I have some moon water from last full moon, but I already used the water for a spell, so this water here has already lost its power. So I'm just going to, get rid of the water and wash the bottle so that I can use it again next full moon. Right, so I went through all the bottles and jars, and now I am putting all my tarot decks on this table so that I can decide which decks I will keep and which decks I will rehome or repurpose. Yeah, so now I removed all the tarot decks from my shelf, and Now what I need to do is I'll remove all the crystals and go through all these little boxes with candles and stuff that I use for my spells. And in a minute, we'll go to my garden to cleanse the crystals and wash the bottles. So these are my empty shelves. I have a lot of stuff on the floor and on my table. So what I want to do now is I'm going to sit down and try to organize these little witchy boxes I have on my shelves, full of witchy stuff and stuff that I need for my spells and my rituals. So many candles, so many incenses. Right, let's do this. So I brought all my crystals outside. I mean, not all of them, but those that stay near me on my tarot table. I also have here salt with rue leaves. I have lots of rue here in my garden. And what I want to do, oh, look at my beautiful chilies. I can't wait to eat those, but they're not ready yet. Okay, anyway, as I was saying, what I want to do, I want to cleanse my crystals and remove all energy they have absorbed. And I'm going to do this by using sun water and salt with rue. I have a full video explaining how to do that, so I'm just going to leave the link down below in the description box. But basically, I just put water in these bowls like this. Then I add my salt with a little bit of rue, and the salt will help absorb all the energy from the crystals. But for that to be effective, we have to leave the crystals inside the water receiving sunlight for the whole day, and this will cause the water to absorb the energy from the crystals. All right, so this is something that I do every month to cleanse my crystals and recharge the energy. So I also have another video explaining what I do every month to renew the energy of my witchy space. I'm also gonna leave the link down below in the description box for you to check out that video. Right, so now I will just leave the crystals in this water that will be receiving sunlight for the whole day, and later on I will come back to remove the crystals from the water, return the water to nature, and allow the crystals to dry under moonlight. There are a couple of crystals that just came into my life, like this amethyst cluster, so I am going to cleanse them also because I want to welcome them into my space. So this is something that I also do with brand new crystals. So yeah, I'll just leave them here and I'll come back later. Please note that not all crystals and stone can go inside the water. If you have selenite, you cannot put selenite inside water. It will ruin it completely, okay? Now I just leave them here in a spot where they can receive strong sunlight the whole day. Right, now that we have dealt with the crystals, let's move on to the bottles and jars. Now, what I'm going to do is I will start by, removing anything that is still inside the bottles. I just brought here the bottles that need to be washed, okay? All the other ones that are still being used are back in my office. So now I'm just gonna remove everything that is left inside these bottles. And here we have some old moon water. Now it's important to know that when we make moon water, as soon as the moon changes sign, that water is no longer powerful. It goes back being plain water. So you can just return that to nature. You cannot use it for another spell. You have to wait for the next moon, okay? And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna remove everything inside the bottles. Plants love to receive old moon water or old sun water. It helps them a lot. So I love giving my chilies leftovers from moon water or sun water. It even tastes better, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this with all bottles. Okay, so I'm going to feed my baby Venus flytrap with a little bit of moon water. Here we go. And my Venus flytrap is gonna be happy and is not gonna eat my fairies. If you watched my garden tour, I was wondering whether, my carnivorous plants would eat my fairies, and you amazing subscribers have explained to me that no, carnivorous plants will eat insects but will not eat my fairies. So thank you for that piece of information. I'm very grateful. So now I just wash inside the bottles one by one. And I'll leave the bottles here to dry in the sun, and I'll come back later to collect them. Meanwhile, my crystals are here receiving sunlight as well. And now I am back inside, and I'm just going to clean all my shelves so that I can put everything back in place. And it's time to sort out my tarot decks. And look at the state of this box. But I take it as a good sign because it means that I actually use and love my decks, right? So when the boxes are falling apart, I put the deck in little bags like that and then back inside the box so that I know which deck this is. This is my Victorian Fairy Tarot, and I'm keeping this because I love it so much. Then I have the Green Witch Tarot, which I am keeping as well because I love and use this deck a lot. The Druidcraft Tarot I use all the time. It's a great fall deck for me. So yep, I'm keeping it. This is the Brazilian edition of the Mystic Fairy, and I am not sure about this one. So this is gonna go in my maybe pile because maybe I am going to rehome this deck. I'm just gonna find a place for it. The Wildwood Tarot, I love this deck. This deck's not going anywhere. The Everyday Witch Tarot, I use this deck a lot and I am keeping it. The Witch's Tarot, I am not sure about this one. I don't like it anymore. I used to like this deck, but I feel, yeah, it needs to go. So I'm going to put this in my maybe pile, and then I'll decide later. The Tarot Apocalypsis is a very unique deck, and the book that comes with it is surprisingly awesome. So I am keeping this deck because it gives me very interesting readings. The Buddha Tarot is one of my favorites. I will always have this deck in my collection. Always. Okay, so this is the Beginner's Guide to Tarot. It's the Japanese version. I have a bit of a story with this deck and I am not sure about it. So I am going to put this in my maybe pile so that I will decide later what I'm going to do with it. This is the Brazilian edition of the Mythic Tarot. It's fallen apart the box as well. So I have it inside a little bag, and yeah, I'm not sure about this because the cardstock is just so bad. I might rehome this deck. Yeah, I might rehome it just because the cardstock is so bad. Let's leave it here with his friends. Dreams of Gaia Tarot is one of my favorites. It gives me profound, insightful readings. I am keeping this. The Golden Tarot. I don't use this tarot as much, but I have plans for this deck. I think the majors are lovely. It's a peepish deck, but I have plans for it, so let's keep it for now. The Art of Tarot, this is a deck that I use only to find lost objects. I charged this deck specifically for that, so I need to have this. The Osho's and Tarot, the Brazilian edition, I don't like this deck, so I am probably not gonna keep this one. I am going to leave this aside and decide later. Tarot of Dreams, I no longer love this deck. I used to love it. I took this deck everywhere with me back in the days, and I just don't like it anymore. So I'll probably part ways with it. The Ostera Tarot is beautiful, gorgeous deck, but I cannot connect with this deck, unfortunately. And for now, I am just gonna leave it in my maybe pile. The Ancestral Path Tarot, I love this. It gives me very interesting readings. I have great experiences with this deck. I love the 10 of Cups in this deck, so I'm just going to keep this. Royal Thai Tarot, I do not use this deck as a tarot deck, but I love the illustrations. I want to have it in my collection. I love the Asian aesthetics, so I'm keeping this. The Shimmering Veil Tarot, it's my new deck. I love it. It is a gift, and I am totally keeping this deck. It's not going anywhere. Seasons of the Witch Oracle. This is the only oracle I own, so I am keeping this. I am learning to use oracles, so yeah, this stays. The Telema Tarot. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to keep this deck. I use this a lot, and now it has been eclipsed by other decks in my collection, so I'm just gonna leave it in my maybe pile. The Star Child Tarot, it's a favorite. I love it. It gives me crystal clear readings. I love this deck so much. I am totally keeping this. The Moon Child is another favorite, and this is not going anywhere. This is one of my favorite decks for client readings as well. The Circle of Life Tarot, I love to take this deck outside. I love to have a cup of coffee in my garden surrounded by my fairies and my flowers and my cats. So yeah, this is a hug deck for me. Okay, this is the Brazilian version of the Light Sears Tarot. I have a full walkthrough of this deck. I have some problems with this deck, but for now I am keeping it because I am actually connecting with it. The Zombie Tarot, this is an amazing deck. I don't think of it as a novelty deck anymore because it gives me very profound readings. It's very good for shadow work, surprisingly, so I'm keeping this. The Muse Tarot. Now, this is an interesting deck. I didn't connect with it at first, but this deck has given me very different and unique perspectives, so I am keeping this deck. The Starman Tarot is my number one tarot when I need to integrate an experience with psychedelics. Like the images in this deck are very psychedelic, so this is a special deck to me. And this is the Finnish edition of the Thought deck. My friend Honey over at Fierce and Pretty gave me this deck, and this is staying. I keep this in my bag all the time because I take this everywhere with me. So it is staying. This is the Ethereal Visions, and I love to use this deck for client readings. My clients seem to love this deck so much. It gives me crystal clear readings every single time. Right, so here I have the decks that I do not connect with anymore. Maybe I'm gonna make a separate video explaining why I do not connect with these decks anymore. And I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with those, but for now I'll keep them elsewhere because I want to make a video about them and then I'll decide. Okay, this is the Groovy Weight and the Tripping Weight Tarot. I love both of these decks. They make me happy. They are very colorful and happy and joyful, but they give me super profound insights, so I am totally keeping these. And this is the original Rider Waite, and of course I'm keeping. This is a classic. The Tarot of the Spirit, I've been pairing this with my new Shimmering Veil Tarot, and wow, so deep. Tarot Nefertari. Now, I also have a story with this deck. I used this deck a lot, like 3 years ago, and I learned so much from this deck. I need to make a video about this one deck, so I'm keeping this because it's very intense for me. My beloved Mythologia Phoenica Tarot, one of my favorites. This was also a gift. Honey over at Fierce and Pretty gifted me this deck, and oh my god, I love it so much. I love it so much. The Kama Sutra Tarot. This deck is surprisingly esoteric. It has its own system. It took me forever to really understand, but now I do, and I love it. The Bosch Tarot, it's a great, great deck for shadow work. I adore this deck. The Herbal Tarot, I actually need to study this deck a little bit more, but I am keeping this because I love it and I need to study it more. This is the 1001 Nights Tarot. This deck is beautiful. It is a gorgeous deck. I love it and I want to keep it. Tarot of the Secret Forest. This is a very unique and interesting deck. I have shown this deck several times on my channel, and yeah, I only use this to myself, to read for myself, but it's very intense, so I'll keep it. The Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot is my number one deck for inner child work, and yes, I am totally keeping it. Nosotras Tarot, this beautiful deck by Brazilian artist Elisa Himer, and I am keeping it because I really, really love it. This is the Tarot of Crowley. This is quite new. I haven't worked this deck yet, but I will. Believe me, I will. Tarot of the Pirates. I take this deck with me when I go to the beach, to my hometown, and this is a summer deck for me. The Dark Grimoire Tarot is another tarot deck that I use for shadow work, and it's always so insightful. It lives in my heart. Tarot of Mermaids is another summer deck for me. I take this when I travel to the beach, so yeah, I'm keeping this. Chrysalis Tarot, I have a full walkthrough of this deck. My friend Gita over at Empress Song channel sent this deck to me, and I have been working with it. It's absolutely fantastic, and this is not going anywhere. The Ukiyo-e Tarot, all based on Japanese illustration. This deck followed me in my trips to Japan, and yeah, I cannot part ways with it, like ever. The Tarot of the Sacred Sites. I have so many wonderful memories of being in hostels around the world with this deck. And yeah, it's staying for sure. It communicates with me in very strange ways, this deck. Tarot of the Witches. I think this deck is so weird, and this is what makes me love it. So I need to be in a certain mood to read with this deck, but when I am, it is just wonderful. The Afro-Brazilian Tarot deck, of course, I love this deck. It speaks to my roots, and I just need it in my collection and in my life. Also, clients love this deck. Barbara Walker Tarot is my number one tarot for shadow work. I talk about this deck a lot in my channel, and I love this. This is the Mini Fairy Tarot. This is adorable and playful. I love to leave this deck in my fairy house overnight, to receive energy from the fae. And yeah, it works. They always come to assist in my tarot readings when I use this mini fairy deck. This is the Tarot to Go, and is the mini version of the Robert Sanson deck. And yeah, I use it for dream work a lot. I'm just gonna leave this here, okay? And Yeah, this is just the box of the mini thought from Finland, but I keep it in the bag that Honey gave to me as well. Right. So I think all decks are here. And now let's make the bed. And guys, after making this bed, I am just going to take a break, eat something, have a shower, and wait until the sun goes down so that I can go collect the bottles. I am so hungry now. The sun is going down. Look at this beautiful sky. And it's time to collect my bottles. Let me see if they are dry. Yep, they all seem to be dry. So I will just, I'll just take them inside and I will put them back on the shelf. Yeah, I might do this just now. But first, let me have a look at my crystals. Yeah, they're ready to receive some moonlight now. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to remove this water. Yeah, I think they're ready to receive some moonlight now. So I just put a little cloth in here, and what I'm gonna do is I'll take them one by one. I already feel that the energy is different when I touch them. I already feel it. So I'm just gonna put them here. And now let's return this water to nature. The plants actually love this water that has received sunlight the whole day. The earth can transmute the energy from the crystals and turn it into something beautiful that helps the flowers bloom. So yeah, and now I'm just gonna leave my crystals here overnight. So let's allow the moon to work its magic on the crystals. I feel that the elementals also come to assist in the process of recharging the crystals. They love to be around crystals, so I really feel elemental energy here. And they'll be ready in the morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful winter morning and it's actually a little cold today. My crystals are perfectly dry. They received moonlight the whole night. And wow, I can feel the energy. I can feel it. These crystals feel completely cleansed and recharged. Look at this, so beautiful. So yeah, let's take them inside now. And I organized my bottles last night when I brought them back. I actually also vacuumed the whole room. So I ended up going to bed last night, like midnight, so I'm super tired. But all my bottles are here. I have organized them again. I put some more ingredients inside the bottles. They're ready to be reused. They're ready to receive new ingredients, new potions, and new spells. So yeah, Things are looking a little bit better today. But now I have to figure out what I'm going to do about the decks that I no longer connect with. But I'll leave this for another video. I'm just gonna leave these decks here for now. The other ones seem to be organized. I can see them all, so that's how I like to store my decks. And now let's take care of the crystals. They are all cleansed and recharged. So I like to have them all here on my shelf. And I have this small trunk where I leave small stones and small crystals so that I never lose them and I know exactly where they are. Look at this yellow one. I love this so much. So yeah, I have many different ones here. And I'm just going to put the small ones here. This is a geode. I brought this from my hometown. And these are just simple quartz. I love this heart-shaped one. This is raw Amazonite. I think it's gorgeous stone. And this is my amethyst cluster. I've had it for many years now. This is man-made. It's a star stone. And this is my selenite wand. I have a full video explaining how I use my selenite wand. If you're interested, I'm gonna leave the link in the description down below. And this is blue aventurine. I love holding this stone, such a great energy. So, oh, this is fluorite. I love how it looks. Oh, and this is a chunky raw Amazonite. I brought this from my mom's place. And this is a yoni egg. I brought this from my hometown, but my mother never used this as a yoni egg, obviously. She just likes to hold it. This is rose quartz, but I am going to use this as a yoni egg for sure. Okay. This is citrine. And these are small stones that I received from Catherine Christina Jung because I won a giveaway. And I have a video also in which I show everything that I won in the giveaway. So I have, this is a gua sha, but I will most definitely use this not as a gua sha, but as just rose quartz to put on my tarot decks. And these are chakra stones. So I'm just gonna leave them here for now. Okay. And this is my little witch. Love her so much. There is a beautiful story. This is a Moroccan geode. And there is a beautiful story behind this. I keep it wrapped like that because of this story behind it. I'm gonna tell you someday when I make a video about my crystal collection, because I realize now that I have many stories to tell about my crystals. This is my servitor. It loves to stay here near my crystals. So yeah, I like to keep my crystals here on my shelf because they're behind me, behind my table where I work all day. This is my quadrant, my skull, my wands. So yeah. And this is my tarot table, and it's looking sad, sad, sad right now. So let's spice things up and add some color. So there are a few things that I always leave on my tarot table. This is my thought deck. This was my first deck ever. Once upon a time, it went everywhere with me, and nowadays it never leaves this table. I just leave it here perpetually. I have another thought deck that goes with me everywhere, and that's the finished version that I showed you before. So this stays here. And now I'm just going to leave on my tarot table everything that I might need for a tarot reading or to work on my computer. So yeah, candles, crystals, cables, and everything else. And I'll show you the tarot decks that I'll be using in the next days. And this is the Shimmering Veil Tarot. And I just received this deck, so I am learning about it. I am connecting with it. So I'll leave it on my tarot table so that I can continue working with this deck. I'm not going to show you all the cards because I have a full walkthrough of this deck. I'm going to leave the link in the description down below. So this is the Shimmering Veil, and I have been pairing the Shimmering Veil with the Mythology of Fenica Tarot because I think they go really well together. And this is a deck that I already feel connected with. So yeah, I like to pair a deck that I am already connected with another one that I am trying to connect with because I think that helps the whole process, okay? So I'll leave these two here, and this is the Chrysalis Tarot. This is also a deck that I just received, and I am, trying to get to know this deck. It's lovely, it's so beautiful, and I already feel that this is going to be a very clear reader for me. So I'm gonna leave it here. And I've been pairing this one with the Druidcraft Tarot. And this deck is one that I use a lot. So yeah, I think they go really well together. And I'm gonna leave this on my table also. So I just pick 4 or 5 decks to work with, and I leave them on my table so that I can, connect and work with them anytime that I want. And because I leave them on my tarot table, I put little stones on the decks so that the cards don't fly because, this table is near my window. And sometimes my cats walk on this table, so, just to be safe. So yeah, this is the final result. This is what my tarot table looks like. When I need to work on my computer, I just bring my computer here and I sit in the other chairs. So this is the final result. Look at my tarot table. But it needs something. So let's go to my garden because I want to pick some flowers. I always like to leave something alive in my witchy room. And flowers for me are the best option. So I always leave fresh flowers on my tarot table and near my Buddha. Look at my beautiful orchid. So gorgeous. And my three testicles, I mean the carnivorous plants. Aren't they gorgeous? And I think I am going to bring some violet inside. You come with me, baby. Oh, they're so pretty. I love this deep purple. And this one will go beautifully together with my violets. Yeah, I just need one more. I think this one will work. And I don't have a problem picking flowers because they would soon die even in my garden. So, yeah. And they look great here. They bring life to my table. And this is what my tarot table looks like. And it's complete. I have flowers, I have candles, I have crystals, and of course my tarot decks. And I also like to light some incense. I like to do this on my window so that the ashes don't go on my tarot cloth. And I find incense smoke absolutely mesmerizing. Look how it dances in the wind. I could do that for hours, just sit here and stare at the smoke dancing. So yeah. Now I am going to use my oil diffuser. So all I need to do is light this small candle. Here. Then I add some water and a few drops of essential oil. And this one, it smells like orange leaves, which I love. 3 drops are enough. Finally, I'm going to use the sage in my room. And this is going to cleanse the whole room, remove all energetic debris, and actually I am cleansing my own mind when I do that. It has nothing to do with the space itself. So this is the final result. This is what my witchy office looks like now after I decluttered, cleansed, and cleaned it. It took me a little over 24 hours, but I feel like myself again. So I'm just gonna show you around and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.